in from wherever you are in the world. This is for Radio World Works. We welcome you from anywhere in the world, and I am today from Manhattan, New York. I'm your host, Marcella Heed. Today, we are going to have a super special show. I will be hosting you, and I will be telling the story that many of you can identify with, which will be great. So, to start, I'm going to tell the basic things that we as women, although we may have a man in the audience, I want to connect with you from the beginning, from our special story that we all may have lived through our lives. Many of us are people who change our countries, our status, our way of educating ourselves. We did very different things around the world. And this is a perfect situation for you to connect and to feel how we have transitioned from the beginning in our countries where we were and where we are right now, and how we were discovering the path of our lives to become who we are today. The special story that I'm going to tell is really my personal view or my story from where I was born in Colombia, South America, and how I made it to the United States in a very different journey from what it was at the beginning. I can tell you that I started with a very different mindset. I was all gung-ho for the corporate world. This is what my parents educated me for. And I came here with a very bright mind and open mind, like many of us do when we change countries. What happens is we get all excited, we go change, go and think, this is my dream. This is what I wanted to do. But after many years of being in almost a decade in corporate world, working with big brands like Kraft, Nabisco, Payless shoe stores, and learning an amazing amount of things that always shaped me the way I am today, I still have something missing. Something that started to knock on my door and that connected to me from the beginning when I was in Colombia. My first career there was, I was a fashion designer. And I came here to America after studying business, and I started to feel I needed more. So while working in the corporate world and I completed my master's degree, I did all that I had to do, but still something was missing. Something important that would give me that chance to connect and to feel alive. And that's when I realized, well, I have to make a stop on the road and I have to think, what was that story? What was happening inside of me? And that's when I discovered I loved entrepreneurship. And that's when I discovered I want to help others with what I had learned already, which was marketing, which was teaching. I've discovered that I love to teach. I love to get in contact with people, especially with women. Where I come from, women were not very empowered. We were very different. Those dreams of going abroad, working, and getting to VP's positions and having these magnificent opportunities were not the main goal. So when I came here and I worked for a decade, I started to say, I want to become that entrepreneur. And after staying for a while at home with my child, like our brains start working. You know how it is. We are like, what are we going to do right now? How are we going to connect with many others? And that's when I created my entrepreneurship online. And that was my way to connect to the world. It was my way to start attracting a lot of Hispanics, which 100,000 people started going to my website to connect with their roots, to find their niche, their ways. How are we interacting? To connect with those pieces that they were missing for many years. From there, I evolved to, hey, I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of things that I can share with many others. That combined with my corporate experience has helped me to open up a huge world of opportunities by creating Tu Talento Online Academy, which is a place where I train entrepreneurships around the world about how to put your talents and passions to work online. Because if I did it, anybody else can do it. The simple thing that I can tell you is it takes work, it takes investment, and it takes a passion and a talent. What is interesting is that they never teach us that we have that talent and that passion and that we can develop it along the way. But that's exactly what we're here for. We're here for to be ourselves, to find the deep inside that connects, that gives, and that makes us who we are, unique and different, but also with the capability to teach others, to help others, and to be at the same time one, because at the end, everybody knows we're going through a huge transition in the world. We're approaching a new era, we're changing a lot of things, and the more we connect with this, the more we're going to become ourselves. So that's how I have done it, through the creation of that wonderful academy, to working with entrepreneurs around the world. And what is interesting is they have made a change from corporate world into doing what they want to do and what they feel alive about doing. So that's pretty much it, Marina. And this is how I started in the online world.
Wow. You know what? I was thinking that migration has been a hot topic lately, not only in America, but in Europe as well. And there are a lot of changes that are happening, not only at a political level, but mostly at very private internal level. Each one of us wants to migrate to a better place. Each one of us wants to discover that divine essence they are born with, their talent, their unique gift that they were given at birth, not to hold on it, but to develop it, to master it, and bring it into the outside world. So, in other words, I'm saying that migration is not necessarily someone looked by someone who is moving country or moving from a small city to a big city, or from a big country to a small country, or the other way around. Migration is a journey, is something that life gives you when you are born. And most people I know, and most people who've been through traumatic experiences, moving to another country, or embracing another culture, or uprooting themselves, they almost always say that they are coming from a place of pain. But what I see with you, Marcela, is that you are coming from a place of amazingness, from a place of joy, and you are going to a place of greatness. And I am absolutely overwhelmed with your beauty. You are a goddess. You got this inside beauty that it's coming out like Niagara Falls. And I wonder what is that you feel when you are helping others? Because entrepreneurs, like you said, what is the word in Spanish for entrepreneurs?
It's very similar, Marina. It's emprendedores.
Okay, but I was thinking more of conquistadors, people who they knew what they wanted and they went for it and they conquered. But in entrepreneurs' cases, it's always a matter of, conquering your fear and going for who you could be, instead of chasing goals, chasing another, a bigger income or a bigger house. You are always chasing a better version of yourself, the golden version of yourself. So coming back to your story, what was that moment in your life when you decided, you know what, it's enough. Enough, it's enough. I want to be reunited with my own destiny. I want to be who I am. I don't want other people to tell me who I am. I want to tell them what I'm made of. What has happened when you look back and made you think that I can do this, I can put my name on this, this is my life, it's nobody else's business, and it's not my business what other people are thinking of me. It is me. I have to become and grow into the person who can deliver my life purpose. What happened?
Yes, Marina, what you just said resonated a lot with me for one particular reason. Is when we are growing up, maybe our environment, our families do not teach us to connect to ourselves. And that's one of the biggest things that have happened to me after I moved to the United States and started living in New York. That was a time of reflection. But even though I was going through the path that many will consider very successful, working for big companies and learning a lot about marketing, there was that call inside. And that's when the shift happened. And I said, you know what you're saying about this is a journey and this is a point of contact with yourself and not about what we're conquering next, what we are doing, what is the next goal, what is the biggest apartment, what am I going for, starts being more of a quest of a fight. For example, being all the time against something because you have to be better and pass and be like in a battle constantly. It becomes more of a personal journey, a connection with yourself. And that's exactly what happened to me after I had my son. I said, who am I really? And I started questioning myself. And this is when I started to think, well, it's time to think about me. What do I really want? What do I really feel like embracing and enjoying? And that's when I said, you know what? I am a woman who wants to share what I know. I'm a woman who thinks that has the capability of inspiring others to help them to the process of becoming the better version, because we all are. The problem is that we do not believe it. And that's one of the biggest mistakes. And I had to work on that. It helped me a lot that I had some time for thinking and meditating. And that helped me connect with my inside. I learned also on the way that we are not, like you said, the labels that others put on us. We are not. We simply are. And then we embrace that. And then we are, like you say, goddess inside or a god inside. You understand your capabilities. I think we're all afraid of what we have inside because we don't want to look at that. And it's that we are wonderful beings of immense capabilities that can do fabulous things. And not only, I'm not talking about only material things, because at one point in your life, you reach the material point and you said, now what? What's the next step? Yes, it's very good to have great wealth and embrace a comfortable life. Yes, of course that is. But then after that, what is the next step? And it's all about you. And that's when the shift happened to me. And I said, what do I really want? I want to be inspired every day by what I do. I want to make a difference with what I do. And I want to enjoy it every single day. And that's when I decided to do entrepreneurship, to inspire women who are in corporate world to change and make that transition and become themselves. And that's what I did. And I know many others can do it too. Like you have done it, Marina, right?
Yes, my story is somehow similar, but a little bit more, each one of us is different, but for me it was a little bit more dramatic because I retired at 51 and I was very successful and I done it all earlier than I thought, better than I expected. And I started asking myself, what's next? And it was nothing. I done it all. So the family, the business, the kids, everything. Mm-hmm. And then I felt, it's nothing. It's nothing. I have nothing. I'm left with nothing. I gave everything and I'm left with nothing because I needed to be excited. I needed to be inspired. And before it was my to-do list. And now it was nothing left to do. All was done. I realized that actually I'm not a human doing. I'm a human being. I have nothing to show for it. So it was a very dark place for me. And it was just a divine intervention that after I launched my first book, I start traveling the world, doing all the things I never imagined before. But I think in your case, you become aware of your beauty, of your inside beauty, of your own powers, of your abundance way before retiring. And that's a big plus. And this is why we are here broadcasting your passion, because there are so many women and men alike, which they reach the time when they are very successful, and then their children leave the nest, and then their um, their beautiful life ends because there is no purpose. And we don't want anyone to go into that place. We don't want anyone ever to have that experience, because as crazy as this might sound, but having all and being left with nothing is the most dreadful feeling. It's as if everything you've been working your life and it was delivered is not valuable anymore, doesn't mean anything. And helping other people to become aware that they are not just a product of a social product, they are human beings, and they have to acknowledge their powers and acknowledge that it's not enough to align your actions with your values and your beliefs. It's all about putting everything in alignment with your emotions. It's all about how you feel. It's all about having that experience when you feel happy inside, and understanding that happiness is not an external goal. It's not somebody else's job to deliver happy moments for you. You are the one who need to look inside the same way you look into a mirror and see what you got, and it's so much and it's so great that no matter how much you give, you are still left with more than you need. And I look at you, I look at your life, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is exactly what everybody deserves. Everybody deserves to put their name on their own life, to create their own legacy while still young and vibrant, and don't wait till there's nothing left. And to me, you are a great solution for living your life with purpose, for feeling happy with no reason, and for delivering yourself. Because I think personally that life is not about creating yourself or creating products. Life is not even about finding yourself. Life is about delivering yourself into your full beauty.
Yes.
So, what was difficult for you?
What was more, oh, Marina, you just make me think about going back when I had to decide really, listen, I had, all these degrees and I have a good career in corporate world. And I was thinking, should I stop all that to pursue a dream? Because at that time it was a dream. At that time it was an idea and a passion. And like you said, many people change careers or decide to give a chance to themselves only after they have retired. So at that moment, I started thinking, do I want to change everything that I have now, that I've already worked for about 10 years? Or do I want to continue with the life that I had that demanded a lot because I was working a lot, long hours, how it happens? Or do I want to be true to myself and listen to those feelings? And actually, you said something really, really important that many of us decide to not pay attention to, and that's the feeling part. We have been raised to think with the left brain. We have been raised to realize that, okay, if you follow the path, you follow the structure, you go to a top school, or if you do the things and play by the rules, you'll achieve what you want. And don't think too much, or don't feel. Actually, don't allow yourself to feel. Just go with it and you will be successful. And like you said, when that happened for you, that you're retired and you said, hey, listen, I've been doing everything for everybody, but what about me? What do I really have? Not only even about having, it's about who am I? And that is the point that was the most difficult for me, to realize that nobody's going to bring me happiness. No job, no certain amount of money. It was only discovering who I really was and giving myself to others that allowed me to realize this is what I want to do. And at the beginning, it wasn't easy. I mean, probably it's not easy for everybody because it's that touring decision at every moment. Did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Look at everybody. Now such and such is, with a stable career, with something different. Or do I want to start from scratch? Because that's what we do when we start again. I'm sure when you wrote your book, the first time you did it, or I don't know if you have another book, but when you did it, you were thinking, what am I going to write about?
You see,
Right? What people interested about, right?
it's true, but you see, it is a journey into serendipity. You don't know.
Yes,
You
yes.
just need to follow your heart. And right now, so I was 51 when I retired, 51 years old, and now I'm 55 years young, and I published 55 books. So
Oh,
it's all about that place of abundance you have inside and is built up, is locked in, or whatever it is for everyone is different. But in essence, is that you are not living your life. You are living somebody else's life. You are living society's expectation of you.
mm-hmm.
But what's happening once you deliver all these expectations and everything else, is nothing left. Is nothing left for you to be inspired, to have your mojo back, and to embrace your truth. Because when you had that dream, you said that so beautifully. You said, I had a dream. Yes, and there is nothing between your dream and the reality you want to create from that dream for a very good reason. You have to grow your own wings, and you have to fly where you've never been before. And to turn that dream into reality, first you have to turn it into a vision. So for me, it wasn't even that. It was that every single person, every single total stranger listening to my story came back with their own story because they had their own story. And I thought, oh my God, this is so amazing. And I realized that we have plenty of professionals. We have all kinds of industries which are filled with experts and authorities. But what we don't have people to share their story. We don't have people to bring in their colors, their true colors, who they really are inside, not the CEO of a certain company or a certain brand, not being somebody else's brand ambassador, not being somebody else, not delivering somebody else's dream, but turning your own dream into a vision like you do, and turning that vision into your own reality. So it is not easy, and I know from my own experience that there are times when you feel lost, and there are times where you don't know what to do next, and there are times when you have to trust your instincts and you have to take the next step, knowing that you are going to get there, wherever that might be, on a horseback if needed, because that's your passion. And your passion is something that nobody can take away from you. You can lose everything. You could lose your house, your car, your airplane, your boat, your friends, your husband, your wife, your everything. But one thing that gives you your identity, one thing that gives you who you are, and one thing that is giving the world what is missing is you. It's your passion. You see, Marcella, I'm looking at the world as this big, huge puzzle. So everybody else is looking at this huge puzzle and nobody likes it and thinking, oh my God, this world is not right. The reality is wrong, and this is missing, that is missing. But guess what? Every single missing piece is nothing but you missing from the bigger picture. And your job as a human being is nothing but turning yourself from the missing piece into the masterpiece. And it's not about you even. It's not about something that you decide, even you think it is. It is about the world that needs you. It's about you delivering what is missing in the world. Because you said it, everyone is so different, everyone is so unique. And if you look at the grass and you take piece by piece and spend 2 days looking for two identical pieces of grass, you'll never find one. So everything is created in a way that is screaming loud in your face, I want you. You are wanted. You cannot hide. You cannot pretend you are somebody else. You are behind that job because you have to pay a large mortgage, or you are hiding your talent because you don't think anyone needs you. So that's all excuses. They're all excuses. And I went through all this, and perhaps you did as well. And I wondered what point you had doubts haunting you, when the doubts were knocking on your door.
Marina, this is a work, and I call it work because now the word work has changed a lot for me, because it doesn't have the connotation that before it had. Work was like a dreadful kind of difficult thing and a path that you had to follow. Now work is a joy thing. And that's how it should be. But going back to what you were saying is realizing that is never stopping, because we have those two people inside of us. We have the ego and we have that being. And while we learn to be comfortable with ourselves and let our emotions, actually our heart, talk to our brain, and that's how the decision should be made, is think first, no. Think second, because you have to feel what you are going through. And then from that place, from the inside, realize what's the best step. So at many times and at many points, there are moments of doubt. But the important thing is that you do it one day at a time and look at the whole entire picture, not at one moment that you may be drained or you may be having a difficult time. You connect to yourself again and you remember, why are you doing this? And you touched on something very important, that is talent. And we have this idea that talent is something that somebody else has. Talent is something that the great gymnast or the Olympic medalist or somebody who has extraordinary powers have. But that is not true. Talent is not only for certain elite. Talent is for all of us. The point is that when you connect with yourself from your being, or from what you're supposed to be, then you realize that you have that. And when you hone that, you have that talent and it flourishes beautifully in you. But you have to believe. So when those moments of doubt come, I normally deal with them with a little bit of going into a quiet moment, centering myself and thinking, why am I doing this? And then I remember the bigger picture, like you said. You're not supposed to be looking at what is missing in the world, but throwing yourself at the world in a beautiful way, because you're going to complete that puzzle. And that's pretty much what keeps me going, is just connecting to myself. And when I have those moments of doubt, remember what is the main purpose and what is the journey you're living and what is that talent that you're giving to the world. Like people that we know that are very famous for having huge talents and that they give them, they have a fulfilled life because they're living from within. And living from within and from your talent doesn't mean that you're going to have a perfect day every day. That's a nonsense. That doesn't exist. But it certainly gives you a much better opportunity to be part of this beautiful world. Because like you said, either the glass is half full or half empty. And it's up to you how you look at it. So I decided to look at it like half full. That's how I do it. And that's how I deal with doubts every day. If I have them, some days I don't. But remember your bigger purpose, and not even your purpose. Remember what you want to do and how you feel well and why you're doing this.
Wow. So, what's exciting and is happening in your life right now?
Something that is really exciting right now is participating in wonderful talks and conferences around the world, which is fulfilling because that's where we're finding people that are resonating with the message. And when you know somebody and when you meet that person and you start chatting and then something inside of you says, hey, we vibrate at the same frequency. Something is going on. Something is exciting. Something is flourishing. That's how I get a lot of excitement. And now we're going to be in Amsterdam in November the 19th, speaking in a great event. We're going to try to be in more places in South America and here in the United States. I find this very, very exciting. Why? Because this is what reminds us of, hey, I like this. I love this. I love doing this. Also, touching people's lives and resonating a lot with doing the work that you're meant to do, doing what you really want to do. That brings me a lot of joy. And it doesn't matter if it always brings huge boatloads of money, but when I see transformation in others, like for example, yesterday I had a webinar for some of the people I'm training to create their businesses online. And we had a person who had a lot of trouble finding exactly his passion. Why? He has actually today a very successful company in Mexico. And he doesn't need that anymore. He's only like 45 years old. So he's trying to figure out what to do. And his life story is amazing. He lost his wife, his child. He was confined to, I think, a wheelchair for 4 months. He had to go through therapy, physical therapy, and try to, to walk again. And he had to do a lot of work on himself. Well, he's run marathons. He walks. Now he's changing his life. And then a friend told him, hey, why don't you come to my company and give a speech and tell your story? And then he said, well, I am not a motivational speaker. And he never told me, he told me his story, but he never told me that he had done that part. And he's struggling with, what should I do next? Because at that point, he's like, probably you, that is, I don't need my financial security. I did that. I raised my kids. He, in his case, he doesn't have a family. We were talking for 45 minutes until he found out, he said, who would pay for motivational speaking and who would really enjoy that? And I almost couldn't believe what he was saying. So have you heard of Tony Robbins or other people around the world that inspire others and love what they do and are amazing at it? And he said, well, yes, but, and said, there goes the doubt. You have something very special. You have a story, and not only a story, an incredible life experience. And that is exactly how people may want to be. So why don't you start with that talent? And he's wonderful at speaking in public. He says, why don't you start with that? And we create a whole business around it. And that's what he's doing. And he can't believe that I had that, but he never looked inside and never realized this is what I can do. So this brings me a lot of joy, is the transformation that we don't realize that little form that we have when the butterfly is going to become a butterfly, that's exactly the transformation that I want to see in people. And that's what brings me the most joy.
Wow. Most of our listeners perhaps feel that they already know you, they met you, and you are their best friend. And I feel the same. And I'm so grateful you join us, and I can't wait for you to come back and have a regular show. And why not see you in London at the Authors Award ceremony and inspire us all with your energy, with your vibrant life, with your amazing vision, and see what's next, because it's always something else that we can't even imagine. It's as if you didn't even scratch the surfaces of who you really are. And to me, from where I stand and from what I hear, from what I feel in my heart coming from your heart, you are one in 7.4 billion. I don't know about you. I don't know about your key message for today. But you know what? I will wait till next time, and I will let our listeners waiting with bated breath to see what's next. From both of us, until next time, is goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.